everyone, I'm the Peculiar Pisces and welcome to my channel. Today is Tuesday, January 7th, 2025, and this is Flosstube video number 32. The last time I filmed was before Christmas. YouTube is showing me that my last published date was December 16th, which was my last recorded video, and then I think that I did the live video after that. So it has been crazy since the last time that I filmed. My kids have been home and they've been driving me crazy. Today, my youngest goes back to school, and then tomorrow, my oldest goes back to school. However, we're starting the new year with a 2-hour delay because I live in Colorado and it snows a lot. All right, so I did not get any stitchy mail, with the exception of the fabric for my Bella Filipina, which I will show you because I did do a start on that. So I will start out with last year's 4 projects. I will re-show you the finish that I had because I have washed it and I have ironed it. So now it is ready for me to take to the frame shop. And then I will show you where my ended up with my progress at the end of the year with the other 3 projects. Talk about the little tailspin that I went into, and then show you my new projects. So, the finish that I had was the Teresa Wentzler. This is, can't see very well. Try that. This is a castle. It is my one and only finish of 2024, and it was a Teresa Wentzler that I got done in under a year. So there's my signature. I sort of did it big and ostentatiously at the, not at the bottom, but sort of hidden in. So here it is, all nice, and I'm going to have to iron it again, but that was my one finish. Then for project number 2 that I did last year, this was my Blackwork piece. Here is where I finished off the year. So I did not get to finish that section that I wanted to finish before the year ended. That was as far as I got. Oh, I'm showing you the back. Ha! I was like, why does it look funny? It's because it's the back. Don't mind me. Now, that looks much better. So I did not get to finish out that section before the end of the year, but it is over halfway done. So it's probably at 68% done, 70% done. So this one, I'm putting it on a little break, and I will pick this up again in February. And we'll see how much I get done in a month then. Okay. And then project number 3. Okay, so the first one was The Castle by Teresa Wentzler. The second one, the Blackwork piece, was Practical Blackwork, and it was called Pentecost. First one was 16 count Aida. The second one is 18 count Aida. This one is 22 count, I don't know. It's an Evenweave of something, of some sort. So, okay. So I didn't really touch it after the last time that I had showed it. I finished out that page, and then I had sort of started working in this square down here. But this is where it ended for the year. And I will pick this one back up again, I don't know, April, something like that. So these projects are not gone. They're just in timeout because I was monogamously stitching these 4 projects, and by November, I was sick to death of them. Sick to death of them. So, this year is my crazy year of starts. So, and then the last project for the year, this is on 14 count Aida. Okay. This is a Plaid Bucilla kit that was in my stash for ages. This is the 14 count Aida. And this whole bottom section is done and backstitched. This sort of corner piece going up is not. So I know that I'm over halfway on this piece. It just, again, I needed a break. So that was the one that I would stitch on while I was waiting for the kids to get out of school. And I've really had no expectations on finishing that one. That was just whatever. But still, you get really tired of them. At least I did. I got really tired of my 4 projects. I don't think I was designed for monogamous stitching, and even though I had 4 projects that I touched every single day, I still stuck with them throughout the last year. So that brings us up to my new starts for 2025. As December was ending and that January 1st start date was looming, I was going into a little bit of a tailspin. I didn't have any shipping notification for my 2 fabrics. One was through Be Stitched Me for my Mirabilia, which was the one that I wanted to start in January. The other one was from Volcano Stitching, and that was for my Bella Filipina. So I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? So my next one that I was going to start, which would have been March, was going to be another Teresa Wentzler. And I really, really sat myself down and had a conversation with myself. And I'm like, you just finished a Teresa Wentzler. You just spent 12 months working and finishing, but working on a Teresa Wentzler. Do you really, really, really want to start another one immediately? Like, that was the point of me wanting to start it in March, was it wouldn't be immediately. And so I pulled out the Woodland Fairy, because that's the Teresa Wentzler that I wanted to do next. And I looked at the thread. How much thread was I going to need? From what was left over with the castle, which all those colors from the castle are pretty much what my stash is. I only pulled like maybe 5, possibly 6 colors from it. So that left like, I don't know, it looked like 70 other colors that I was going to have to buy. I was like, I'm going to have to get the fabric. I'm going to have to get all the floss. I was like, it's going to be like $150. And I just spent, X amount of money on my, fabric for my Mira that didn't come, and X amount of money on the fabric for my Bella that didn't come. So I was like, I can't justify with, Christmas just ending and the new year just starting. I was like, I can't justify, spending that much money to kit up yet another project, like not right away. So I was like, maybe I can pull out that Lavender and Lace that I started and took to Pennsylvania with me last year in 2024. So I pulled that out and I pulled up Floss Cross, and everything that I had previously recharted so that I would have the electronic copy was gone. It was poof, disappeared. I apparently did not save the Floss Cross file. All I did was I exported the PDF that was halfway, I think. Where's my phone? Sorry. I can pull up. I can pull some of these up to show you. So, few mock-up. So when I recharted it last year, I got like that far. And before we were going to Pennsylvania, and I was like, well, it's electronic. I can do a start, I just needed something. So I recharted again. I'm past where I am now. And before I knew that I wanted to change her dress colors, but I didn't know what I wanted to change it to, other than I wanted it to be purple. So currently, this is my progress on recharting. Her dress color is changed, and I'm nearly done with the recharting. But the fabric for my Bella Filipina came in time. So what I will do is I'm working on my Bella Filipina for January. I got notification that the Bestitch Me fabric has been shipped, and it's actually supposed to come today. So in February, I'll start the Mira like I planned. So it's just the Mira and the Bella are flip-flopped. In March, I'm going to work on the Lavender and Lace. And then in April, I will work on the Teresa Wentzler. I decided that for favorite designer and that I have enough Lavender and Lace designs, I can add that in so that there's 4. So each one will get seen 3 times for a month for the year. So I sort of evened out all of my projects. For favorite designer, it's 4. For Blackwork Sampler, it's just the 2 projects. For Wishlist, it's 4. And then for Stash Buster, it's 4. So I just sort of evened them out, and I decided not to start some projects, and it was a crazy couple of days. So with that said, I did, even though I was recharting the Lavender Lace, I also did touch it and get a little bit of work on it. So I will show that to you so that you will see it now. This is Lavender and Lace, Lady of the Thread. This is what it's originally supposed to look like. And so when I took this to Pennsylvania, I was taking on the airplane, so I was taking no hoop, I was taking no scissors, I was not doing anything, like it was bare bones. So this project is just going to fit on this piece of fabric. I've got like 1/2 inch border at the top, and I'm hoping that's going to be just enough for me to stretch it at the end. But this is where I am. This is what I've worked on. I mean, it's more than what you saw last year. I'll have to search my phone to see if I even have a picture from last year. Um, all of the stuff that I'm recharting is the same color. The only difference is her dress. I thought that her dress, which you can see here and you can see a little bit here, it's the same color greens that are in around this and in this mirror, and there's some plants and stuff here. I felt like her dress very much got lost in the pattern. And so that's why I was recharting it. Let me pull that back up again. So that's what it's gonna look like, hopefully, when I'm finally finished with it. And when I get to it, I will let you guys know what those rechart colors are for the dress, if anybody's interested. Okay, so that was everything that was touched from last year. And how's my time? Okay, I have about 15 more minutes before I actually have to take the little one to school. So hold on. I did do the math. So last year, all that I touched that lavender and lace total was 13 hours, 54 minutes, and 40 seconds. So that one is, I will do that in March, and we will get back into keeping track since it's a paper, well, I can give you stitch counts on it because I do have some of that. Okay, so what was charted from before, it was 9,304 stitches. Obviously, there's more to that since I only got about halfway through, but what I have stitched on it total is 1,107, and it's at 11.9% from what was originally charted. So that's what's left. Okay. So as I said, we will see this one again in March. Okay, so now my new projects. I've started 3 of my 4 new starts. Today I will start the 4th. So first, let's do favorite designer for the month of January is Bella Filipina. And the art is by Aldrin J.C. Parilla or Parilla. Padilla. This is the Daughters of Estuary. It's such a pretty design. It's such a pretty design. Okay, so my fabric from Volcano Stitching. This one is called Poseidon. This is 18 count Aida Opal, and the size for this one is 18 by 28. I have never worked with an opal fabric before. And of course you can't really see it. Everybody, when I watch Flosstube, everybody's like, oh, I love opal. It's so pretty. It's so sparkly, but I can never see it on the camera. I didn't know how gorgeous it was until it came. And like I saw that sparkle and I was just like, oh my gosh. If it's not a full coverage piece, I want it to be on an opal fabric, like from now on, because opal fabric is just so beautiful. Okay, so here's my start for the new year. I am a middle out stitcher. So this needle right here was where my middle is. And then I counted over, I think it was like 11 blocks. And then I made my start. And so I sort of worked my way up. The middle is on, is in the middle of the paper. So I just went up to the top of the paper and over and down. And then after I finish this section of this page, I will continue coming up and finish her head, I guess. I'm unsure because there's the 2 mermaids and it's equally split. So I'm unsure if I'm going to finish one mermaid and then work on the second one, or if I'm going to move over and then do this, do the same thing and work and, get the half the top half done and then focus on the bottom half. I'm just not sure. But there's my start. I don't know if you can see any of that shimmer, that shine, that sparkle, but I am just positively in love with Opal. So here's the full fabric. It's pretty big, pretty big. This is going to be a decent sized piece. 18 count, I think, is probably my favorite. It's not too big, it's not too small. Like I think that's my favorite size. Okay, so that's project 1. Project 2. Okay, so project 2 is called Dutch Beauty Sampler. I will not even attempt to pronounce that. Yeah. So this is what I'm working on. It's the Dutch Beauty Sampler, which, how does it, okay. So it's a big one. It's a big long one. And it has me starting in this top corner. This is the fabric that I dyed in my live video. Ugh. So it's like so much fabric that I have it rolled and rolled and rolled. So I don't normally do what's called stitching in the ditch, but because this fabric was just big enough and it gave me like 1.5 inch margins, this was the easiest way for me to put it on a scroll frame, was to do it backwards so that I can sort of, pull these tighter as I go. So this is actually the edge of my first page. So this is the length of the first page. And so now I'm just sort of working down and filling in. There's like a tree motif here. I think this is a windmill. It gives me in-depth explanations as to what everything is. There, now it's not so much in shadow. So this is a week of me working on it. Oh, you know what? I didn't give for the Bella, I put in 10 hours, 26 minutes, 16 seconds in the last week. I only worked on it from the 1st through, well, I've also worked on it yesterday on the 6th. So that only has the first week's hours, not last night's stitching. And then sampler. This one, from January 1st to January 5th, I put in 5 hours, 34 minutes, and 51 seconds. This one is 14 count Aida. This was a piece of Aida that I had in my stash that I bought from the marketplace somewhere, so I don't know what brand or what kind. It was like a yard exactly, and that's like, I needed the whole piece of fabric. I don't know how long it's going to go down, but I know that it's going to be the entire width of this fabric. So yeah, here's the result of my dye job that I did. And then project 3, that's my big one. Sorry. Project 3 is by Tilton Crafts. It is called Winter in the Shire. Right now, at the time of filming this, I'm unsure if this is still available or if this was retired. I think I purchased this in a sale that was retiring a bunch of things, but I will check if it's still for sale. I'll put a link in the description. So this one I am doing differently than I would normally do. I got the 25 count easy grid fabric, and I am doing this by color completing. I'm starting with the color that has the most amount of stitches, which is 3865. It's an off-white, and I don't even know if this is going to show up well. Okay, let me see. Can I even see that? Okay, I think I can kind of see that. So here's where I am with off-white on easy grid 25 count. This one is in Pattern Keeper, so I can give you those stats. So, like, this is all the one color. And then you can see up in the top corner where I've started doing it a bit. I am at 719 stitches out of 122,500. I'm at 0.59%. And the first day that I stitched on it, I did 100 stitches. The second day, I did 344. And then the third day that I worked on it, I did 275. Because it's just one color, and I'm just sitting there and, blocking out one color. And right now, it's pretty concentrated up in that top corner. I think I'm averaging about 175 stitches an hour on this one, simply because I'm not switching colors, and right now it's just one great big color block. Can I zoom that in a little bit further before the... Okay. So, like, I've completed that, but not the purple. I don't even know if you can see the color difference. So the area that I'm about to be in, it's sort of tops of the trees in the background. Where do you put that? So I'm in this area. I'm doing the tops of the trees in the background here. So I'm about to get into this great big white section here. If it were any other color besides this off-white that almost matches the color of the grid, I would be probably flying through this and like so happy, but it's like the same color as the canvas, almost. I feel like I can barely see it while I'm stitching. Okay, and then my last project. So my mom got these. I think they're supposed to be pillowcases, but I don't have a lot of pillows. And so they're now my project bags, but like I got like all these Nightmare Before Christmas pillowcases that are my project bags. Oh, okay. So I have to take my youngest to school. I will pause this, and when I come back, I will finish the rest of this video. Okay, I am back from taking my youngest to school, and I'm kind of thinking that maybe there shouldn't have been school today. It was quite cold. Okay, so my fourth project that I will be starting today, since there is school, is this Candamar Designs Christian Reese Lassen is the designer. This is from 1998. I know 100% I started stitching this, but I've lost it in a move or it got destroyed. I'm not quite sure what happened, but it's gone. It's nowhere. So I have purchased this kit again, and I will be starting. So it's blank. You can see where the fold is. Here's my middle. So I'm just going to start from the middle and work my way up and over like I normally do from my middle out stitching. So no official start on it yet. I did put it down here. I did already sort my floss, and I'm just using the papers that they provided um, for now. Um, I might switch it out later. I don't like the paper floss holders. They're so flimsy. So that is my fourth project that I will be working on for January. I just haven't started it yet because school just went back today. So then, as far as some other projects go, I told you that I got a Cricut for Christmas. In fact, you can sort of see it right there. There's my Cricut. So I got the Cricut for Christmas. I did the setup. I did the initial starter graphic that's on my water bottle, wherever my water bottle is. I don't know. But I thought, well, I've chosen the book that I want to start with on my library. I picked out the fabric. I picked out what's going to be the end covers. I just haven't started it yet because let me grab it. So the book is warped a little. It's not a flat edge. So I'm putting it in my vise that's on my workbench over there. It's not a book press. It's an actual vise that's part of the workbench. But I'm putting it in the vise and I'm trying to get the dip to be less crooked. You see how that is? So I'm sort of trying to just use pressure to force it back into the shape that I need it in. So I'm not a huge VC Andrews fan. When I was in my mid-20s, I worked at a company and they had a book exchange set up in the break room. And so I went in there and I pulled off 2 or 3 books that seemed mildly interesting, and then I took 2 or 3 of my own books to replace the ones that I took. Anyway, one of the books that I grabbed was Flowers in the Attic. And so I finished reading that, and then I realized there were more books. I vaguely remember watching the movie as a child in the 80s because, nobody regulated that stuff when we were children. So, I watched stuff that I had no business watching. Flowers in the Attic is one of those things that at the age that I was, I never should have watched that. So anyway, in my mid-20s, I read the book, found out that there were a couple of sequels, and I purchased the sequels from the bookstore because they're still in print. My grandma thought I was into VC Andrews books or something, and so she ended up giving me this box of 15, 20 VC Andrews books. And not a single one of them, well, no, that's not true. I was going to say not a single one of them were from the same series, but there are some from the same series. They're just not book 1 and book 2 or book 2 and book. It's book 2 and book 6. So I've never, ever read them, but they sit up and they take space on my bookshelf. So these VC Andrews books are my practice books, as I'm starting to redo my library. I was going to start with the Penguin Press, the way that those books look. Um, if you don't know what that looks like, it's like a solid fabric background everywhere. And then there's like gold or silver, like there's like an outline around the edge of the book. There's like a square with the title, and then there's like a repeating pattern, just sort of random. And it's on the spine and it's on the back. And then on the back, there's usually a box with either a quote or like the text. So I have chosen the book. I do have the color that I want to make the book. And I picked out the end papers, but like I said, I'm still trying to flatten the book to get it more in shape before I redo it. I also need to get a book press because one of the things that I want to practice on is gilding the edges of the pages, and whether or not I'm going to do like a straight color or if I'm going to do like a stencil and, whatever. So there's stuff that I need to do, and then I also need to just sign up and get the Cricut subscription so that I have access to all of the fonts and shapes and all of the things that you would think that you would have access to, but you don't because you're not paying for it. So, um, this is happening now that I have the Cricut, just slower than I was anticipating. I did decide to try to make some floss drops with my Cricut, and it it's working, but I'm very much trial and erroring it. So over the summer, I had purchased a big pack of 100 chipboard sheets that were 11 by 17 because the 11 by 17 size, I could get a front cover, a back cover, the spine, and then there would be extra left over for like more spines or whatever, but I could get a whole book out of this as opposed to the 12 by 12 size. 12 by 12, you can only get one front cover or one back cover. The problem was when I got this, that this was a very thin chipboard. This is not good enough for making books. Now, if I were making composition notebooks, this would be exactly what I needed, but I wasn't making composition notebooks. I'm making hardback books. So my solution to this was to glue 3 sheets of this together, and that's more the thickness that you want for the hardback books. This was made with 3 pieces glued together, and it's not flimsy. The issue with this was the paper on the inside. It wrinkled, and I don't know if it's because the paper was too thin or if I just did things too quickly. I'm not quite sure. But I had this, and I was like, this, as it is probably the perfect thickness for a floss drop. So I set it up, I tried it, and I cut it out, and they worked. It did. It's the right thickness. Like I'm very okay with this thickness for the floss drops. And this was pretty plain. So what I did is I started looking through my papers, and my laptop is sitting on all the papers that all my paper packs. But I went through my papers and started thinking, what could I do? Well, this in the purple pack of paper that I had, it was a 12 by 12 sheet, and it had like 4, 8, 12, 16, like 16 little almost 2.5 by 2.5 inch squares with images on it. And so those little squares were just the right size for this floss drop. So I glued the papers down to them, and I pressed them flat and let them dry. And then I took my X-Acto knife and I just, did out all the edges. So all the floss drops on this was from that first batch that I did out of the regular cardstock paper that I then glued really pretty paper to, and then I also cut out some vinyl. So each one is a little bit different. That's a face, and there's a little bit of gold here. Just different pictures. So this is for my Dutch Beauty sampler. These are all the floss drops that I needed for the Dutch Beauty sampler. Just some, pretty papers. So the next batch that I dropped everything. The next batch that I did, I glued this sheet of paper down. Now, I glued it to the board and then I put the whole thing into the Cricut. And as you can see, it cut, but it didn't cut the whole way through. And I thought, okay, so that was the difference with the paper on it. So the next one, I increased the blade pressure and it still didn't quite cut through. And then the third one, I thought, I'm not moving it, I'm not shifting it. So I sent it through the Cricut twice. And and again, didn't quite cut through, but this was almost cut through. But in some areas, the cuts didn't quite, like this one I can almost push it through, but it didn't quite line up in some of the spots. So this one is like a complete dud. I can't use these. There's 1, 2, there's maybe 3 off of this one that I can use. And so that didn't work. So now I know how to change how many passes the Cricut blade does. So I've got 3. So I've got 3 more pieces of paper glued to the cardstock. I need to cut off this extra edge. I've increased the number of passes, so I need to see if 3 passes is enough, or if I need to increase it to 4 passes, or if I need to switch the blade, because I can tell it to switch the blade. So I don't know. This is me trying it out, but I was able to use my Cricut for a cross-stitch related craft. So these, I took my X-Acto blade and I was cutting this one out. This is the last one that I needed for the Dutch Beauty. Then I started cutting this one out and I got all the way to the end and then somehow managed to cut my ring finger right by the fingernail. So I stopped last night and I did not finish cutting these out with the X-Acto, but this whole sheet and the way that it lined up, it almost, like each one almost looks like a label, like an actual label. Here you can actually see the cuts on that. So I do need to go through, because I'm not going to waste this. This is a pretty paper and this, is a supply. So I will cut these out with my X-Acto, just more carefully than what I was. I will cut it out with the X-Acto so that I have the floss drops, because I need floss drops for my Bella Filipina. I need floss drops for my Mira. I need floss drop. I need floss drops, and this is something that I can make on my own, that I don't have to spend money on. I just have to trial and error it. I also started doing the vinyl for the numbers for the Bella. This font, not that great to weed. I was not enjoying this one. The first font that I tried, that was a free font. This one's a free font. I feel like I'm missing out because I'm not paying for the full thing yet. But I just need to. Can you see it? It's cut. Nope, you can't see it. But it's already cut out. I've already started weeding out the center spots. I'm just trying to. It's fun, but it takes a long time, and it's so finicky right now that um, I don't know. Like everything looks crooked to me, but they're for me. So that's it. That was a recap of my 4 projects from last year, my new 4 projects for this year, some of the extra things that I've been doing besides cross stitching, and the recharting of the lavender and lace. So yeah, for January, it's these 4 projects: the Bella Filipina Daughters of Estuary for favorite designer, the Dutch Beauty Sampler, the Tilton Crafts Winter in the Shire, and the Candamar Designs Silent Journey Whale. So those are my 4 new starts for January. February, I will be switching over to the Mirabilia for favorite designer. For project 2, I will be switching back over to the Blackwork. For project 3, I will be doing a Nene Thomas mermaid / dragon. That one's so the Winter in the Shire and the Nene Thomas are both full coverage designs. The Fay Risque. Oh, I'm very popular. Hold on. Okay, that was my husband. He was asking me how the drive into school was, so that was really nice of him to make sure that everything was good. Okay, sorry, I completely lost my train of thought and I don't know what I last said. Um, I know that I was saying that the Tilton Crafts, Winter in the Shire, and the Nene Thomas are full coverage designs. Last year when I made like all my decisions, I was actually going to do 6, and I've backed it from 6 to 4. Um, the Shire, the Nene Thomas. I'm going to do the Chatelaine. That's the one that I decided was going to be kept. I have priced that one out with both the silks and the DMC. With the silks, it was going to cost me, for the pattern and the silks, not even the fabric. For the pattern and the silks, it was going to cost me like 256 USD. So with the DMC, it's going to cost me more like $45. So I will be doing the DMC and not the silks, which I'm fortunate because the chatelaine really should be done in silks, but this will be my first chatelaine, so I will do it. I think I'm going to do that one for March, since the Nene Thomas is for February, but that will be it. It will be the Shire, the Nene Thomas, the chatelaine, and then the Fay Risque that I'm currently working on. Or I was last year, I should say. So, yeah, so it's 4 projects, 2 projects, 4 projects, and 4 projects for my my 4 projects. So that's it. Those are my plans so far. I will let everyone know if anything changes. Oh wow, this creeped up to an hour because I had a lot to show. So I will see everyone next week with my updates for my regular 4 projects.